teams. So essentially yesterday we had 32 different players named, but now it's when the fans get involved, gentlemen. Voting's now open, NHL.com/vote until January 17th. You select the final 3 players for each division, 2 skaters and a goalie. You can also get your vote out on Twitter on January 12th to the 14th using the hashtag. So here's how it looks in the Central. And there you see Josh Morrissey. You see Saros coming off a huge performance. We'll have more on that in a matter of moments. Jason Robertson, Cale Makar, no surprise there. All right, we're putting you guys on the hot seat. Who wants to start this one out? I think we're starting with you, Justin Bourne. Give us your 3 additions you would have to the Central All-Star team.
Well, I think the first place you have to start is in net. One of the 3 that you have to pick is a goaltender, and we just talked about the Winnipeg Jets. That Connor Hellebuyck character has been pretty good for them. He's a .928 save percentage, almost a no-brainer. One of the reasons that the Jets have stayed afloat through all those injuries. Obviously, lots of options out there for some other guys, too. Mark Scheifele's the guy that you had in, right, Feuds?
I've got him in, but I have to give you some credit here because you're sitting there talking about, I know Stewie likes to make these predictions when he's on the panel, and Ottawa's going to make playoffs every year. You have stuck by Roope Hintz since infancy. This kid's been awesome, so that's a great pick.
So Roope Hintz is another guy you really like.
Yeah, Hintz for me is it's the speed and all that he brings. But you were on board with Rantanen as well?
I love Rantanen. I mean, Colorado Avalanche defending championships. Hellenbuck's having a Hellenbuck-type year, but I got to talk this Mark Scheifele thing. If he pulls a hamstring, Nathan McKinnon's on his way there. Absolutely love him. Absolutely love him.
If he pulls a hamstring?
Or he has a shoveling injection. I'm just saying, this is an all-star game. If Connor McDavid missed 3/4 of the season up to now, he came back, he's there. Nathan McKinnon is one of the top 3 players in the National Hockey League, in my opinion. He's been out injured. If he's ready to go, get him to Florida.
And it's not so much an all-star game as a fan showcase. They
Clearly,
want to see these guys
this should be renamed. This is a fan showcase. You need the best players there.
Right.
And, the Pacific team, this is a tough division to figure out the All-Stars for. And let's take a look at, first of all, who the gentleman named, the 8 gentlemen named. No surprise. Connor McDavid squeaked in there, surprisingly. Erik Karlsson, who's putting together a Norris caliber type season. Matty Beniers, the great sophomore out in Seattle. So a pretty good team. And you have Logan Thompson, the rookie in net for Vegas. But Mike Futa, give us your 3 additional All-Stars you would add to the Pacific Conference.
Well, first off, when you look at that team, Logan Thompson better get some rest.
Oh, boy.
Okay, he better get some rest. And I hope Draisaitl doesn't book a flight to Cancun because second best player in the history of the game over the last few years.
Yeah.
Should be involved. Bo Horvat's been the star for the Vancouver Canucks. We've got to have him there. Stuart Skinner, it's amazing. It tells you the type of year that Demko and Markstrom are having down numbers-wise that Stuart Skinner is the guy. But as Gary Bettman would say, we have a trade to announce. I'm going to move Stuart Skinner and futures for the weekend to the Western Conference for Jake Ottinger.
True GM work, making
trading guys. You're trading guys within the division.
This is a fan move. This is a fan move.
So you want Jake Ottinger in there?
I'm sure Pete DeBoer wants him to rest for the weekend, but I want him in my net.
I hope Stuart Skinner's
with no defenseman on my team. I want poor Stuart Skinner.
All right, so Draisaitl's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, and in defense of the whole second best player over the last couple of years. That's why these formats are a little bit tricky, right? Like, how is this guy not an auto selection? He's second in the NHL, 60 points through 38 games, 22 goals. I mean, as elite comes, and this season has been no different, and one of the reasons the Oilers are as good as they are. So he's got to be in. Horvat's a good pick for me, too. I also had Skinner. Some of the division's a little bit tougher to figure out, but this one, it's almost like the league should say, yeah, we picked one guy from every team, but guys, Draisaitl's it.
But remember, nothing's a given right now because it's up to the fans to make the choices. So Edmonton Oilers fans, Leon Draisaitl fans, get out there and get your vote in, NHL.com/vote, or else we won't see Leon Draisaitl. We will see UC Saros, and he really earned his All-Star stripes last night. 64 saves. The 3rd most in NHL history, part of a 5-3 win over Carolina. He was under siege the entire game. And then tonight, he's got to deal with this guy. Alexander Ovechkin scored his 29th goal last night. One away from a 17th 30-goal season. I'll say that one more time. A 17th 30-goal season. Unbelievable. And no surprise, Alexander Ovechkin, yes, he will be back wearing the number 8 at All-Star Weekend. And you know what's kind of fun? There's always been that rivalry with Sidney Crosby. They're going to be teammates on that Metropolitan Division All-Star team. Calgary Flames fans will be interested to see Johnny Gaudreau out there wearing the Columbus Blue Jackets sweater. Lots of good options here. This is a bit trickier, guys, because a lot of big names were left off of it. I think, are we starting with you, Justin?
Yeah.
Okay, who do you have here?
Well, first thing I want to note is there were no defensemen on that list you just showed. And so in 2 of the divisions, there's no defensemen. So you don't have to have a certain amount. So it's going to be 3-on-3, again, with no defenseman. So I'm taking Adam Fox. I'm going to put someone who can stay back there. Yes, he can still create and do all those great things. And then Matthew Barzal, a guy who's won the fastest skater. Want to have him there, New York Islander. Maybe have a little bit of an Islanders bias.
Yeah,
CC Sorokin on there too. But the way this guy moves, I mean, he's just electric. 3-on-3 hockey. He's a fan favorite in New York, and I just love him. So he's in there for me.
So you basically saying you want somebody who's going to line up back there.
Yes.
For the puck drops.
Fox doesn't have to stay back there.
Carlson, same style.
Well, that's Pacific. The only D-man was Carlson.
I'm going with the bread man. It's an entertaining match. This guy's one of the most creative players in hockey. He's got the personality to boot. And I threw Sebastian Aho in. I've been saying it's an all-star game. You know, the Boston Bruins are the best team in hockey. You've got the Carolina Hurricanes in second place with only one player. Get Sebastian Aho at the all-star game.
The idea that Barzal, Aho, Panarin, that one of those guys won't be there is shocking to me. And again, there could be some injury replacements or guys, injured right out there. But anyways, it's a weird format in that sense, right? Because you have players from every team. Here's the Atlantic Division, and talk about stars being omitted. It's great to have Mitch Marner there. It's great to have Kucherov there. We have the Tkachuk brothers. But there are some real stars missing from this list. So Mike Futa, fill in the blanks. Who should the 3 additions be? Who should the fans be getting out there and voting for?
Can you say 60 goals? Maybe Austin Matthews might not book the weekend off as well. And I'm proud of Mitch Marner deserves to be the least representative
100%.
this year. There's no doubt about that. But Austin Matthews, arguably one of the 2 best players in the world, consistent. And I'm sorry, I know the Leafs Nation is going to be dying to have Nylander there as well, and he probably is deserving. But Pastrnak has got to be there. He's been consistent as ever. He's got a great personality. He's on the best team in the National Hockey League now. He's in the contract year, and there's no stopping him. I think he's got 28 pucks. He's got to be in the All-Star game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I picked the same guys. It's funny, but, Nylander is leading the Leafs in points and goals. You got Brad Marchand not there, Braden Point, a lot of good players.
Braden Point.
Yeah. No, I know. That guy's as good as it gets and an absolute playoff performer, but Austin Matthews is a must-have. We talked about it being a fan showcase. This is a guy, as you mentioned earlier in the show, he won the Ted Lindsay, won the Hart, he won the Rocket. He's a guy the league wants to have there, the fans want to see. Kind of a no-brainer to include him in the game, even if you think Nylander's had a bit better season so far.
What if Leafs Nation votes in Nylander ahead of Matthews?
Well,
could it happen? Is that even possible?
Well,
it's not. Again, it's not Leaf Nation. It's
okay.
32 fan bases.
We're known to stuff our ballot boxes around here.
This is a little bit flawed though right now because you have some players on some bad teams because you want to have this equal representation. Do you guys wish they kind of did a different format so we said all the stars? We don't have to omit some of these guys.
It's imperfect, Justin. It's tough. This would be a tough meeting to be in. I mean, what you're talking about at DA offhand, didn't John Scott was voted in to this thing, and what happened? It made it probably one of the most magical All-Star experiences. They made good of it.
Yeah.
It's never going to be an easy thing to do. It's something that sponsors and the fans want. It's a tough thing somebody's going to be left out.
And you don't want to say that this guy shouldn't go, but Columbus having a tough year, Chicago's having a tough year. There's some teams who, quite frankly, you'd rather have Nylander include.